There have been experiments conducted around the world that attempt to prove that animals can get easily addicted and that we humans are no different. Or are we? In the 1970s, psychologist Michael Zeller conducted an experiment with pigeons. He set up a cage with a button inside, which the pigeons could peck with their beaks to be rewarded with food. But Zeller made things interesting by changing the regularity of the reward. He found that if the pigeons got a reward every time the button was pressed, they would peck at regular but rather infrequent intervals. But if the rewards came only 50 to 70% of the time, the birds would peck more frequently and persistently. Because Zeller made the reward more unpredictable, the rush of dopamine to the brain became larger, which is exactly why gambling is so addictive to people. When we roll a dice, its outcome is unpredictable, but if it comes up with a winning number, the rush of the pleasure is larger and especially addictive. This same addictive feedback system can be found in the social media, and the like button is a perfect example. The like button dates back to 2008 when Facebook introduced it to provide users with a quick and easy way to give friends feedback on their photos and posts. But this feedback is unreliable, which is why every time we post something we wonder whether or not it will be liked. This makes every post on social media a gamble with a pretty high stake, since no likes can be interpreted negatively to mean that we have been abandoned by others or that our posts are subpar. For a long time now, there has been a misconception that addicts are immoral and weak-willed. But this is simply not true. Anyone, including me and you, can get addicted to the reward system of the social media. According to neuroscientist Claire Gillian of Cambridge University, behavior can stimulate the same area of our brain that drugs like cocaine and heroin stimulate. This includes many behaviors that take place online, like playing a game, engaging in sex chats, and gambling. In all these circumstances, neurotransmitter dopamine is released in the brain, which in turn sets off a feeling of intense pleasure. But this pleasure gradually decreases when the behavior is repeated. This causes people to spend more and more time online in a futile attempt to recapture the first great dopamine high. So, we are addicted to social media. That's okay, it's not that bad. At least we are productive when we work, isn't it? But the answer is no, you're not, especially if you use emails. And I'm sure you do. Emails kill our productivity. How much time do we take to respond to or even to view an email after it reaches our inbox? According to some studies, 70% of the emails that are sent to office workers get read within 6 seconds. We may think that we are being productive, but we are not. To answer an email, we need to stop what we are doing, and that breaks our concentration. It is estimated that on an average, it takes about 25 minutes for us to return to the place of deep concentration after checking an email. And studies show that the average office worker checks his email 25 times per day, which means that we spend our entire day without ever reaching our full concentration. Answering the email gives us a rewarding feeling, more like achieving a small goal. This feeling can get addictive and make people focus on small, insignificant tasks. To avoid this, set aside some time during the day to check and respond to emails and turn off the notification. I have summarized a way to increase productivity in a video called Secrets of Time Management that you can find in the link below. Now, if you are thinking that it's okay, I'm still getting my work done, you may want to answer this question. Are you a workaholic? The answer to that is that we are all becoming workaholics. We are all chasing a distant dream of a comfortable life so that we can relax one day. But the truth is that we are addicted to making things difficult for ourselves. Even when someone manages to attain a comfortable life, it's not uncommon for a person to be unhappy. In 2014, psychologist Timothy D. Wilson and his associates developed an experiment that highlighted the human need to seek hardships that they are then forced to overcome. Undergraduate students were asked to sit calmly for 20 minutes to avoid negative thoughts and to just relax. The twist was that the students were also given a relatively painful electric shock before the clock started, and they were told that they could shock themselves during the experiment if they wanted to. Oddly enough, 2/3 of the male student and 1/3 of the female students decided to shock themselves at least once, while one man electrified himself nearly 200 times. It is our nature to seek some kind of hardship or challenge and then overcome it, even when we are given an opportunity to enjoy life and relax. There are instances where people have overworked themselves to death, quite literally. But why are we doing this? It's because we are looking for some kind of a meaning in our day-to-day activities. This is where questions like I'm doing this for my country or I'm doing this for the greater good come into picture. And with this identity taken away, we feel clueless. The growth of spirituality, which also sometimes leads to blind faith, can be attributed to man's search for meaning. We start looking for distractions whenever we have free time. We are either staring at our phones, checking notifications, or running to the movie theater, or merely pretending to read a newspaper. All this because we don't know how to sit and relax. So, is there a way to avoid all this? Before we answer the question, let us look at how addiction works in general. Do you have a friend who has been trying to quit smoking for like forever and is nowhere close to quitting it? You hear him promise that he will stop from tomorrow, but what happens when he wakes up the next day? The first thing he does is grab a cigarette. This shows that willpower alone is not enough to prevent people from getting addicted. So, what is the solution? What we can lean towards is substitution, when we replace the addiction with some other activity. Charles Duhigg, the author of Power of Habit, breaks addiction into three parts: a cue, a routine, and a reward. For mobile technology, the cue is taking out smartphone, the routine is opening your social media app and scrolling through the feed, the reward is feeling connected and seeing how many likes and comments you got on the last post. With this in mind, in 2014, the company of Others launched a new device called Realism. Realism looks and feels like a smartphone, but instead of a screen, it has a transparent frame that offers a view of the world around you. So the cue is still there, but when you feel the need to grab your device, you reach out for Realism, which offers a new routine, looking at the new world around you instead of the virtual world inside your phone. So, there are ways to break the cycle, the addiction to technology, but the first step is to acknowledge the existence of the problem. How irresistible has technology become in your life? You can give a rating from 0 to 5, 5 being the highest. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, subscribe to the channel for more of such amazing content. Share this video, like this video, and keep giving me the dopamine rush. See you next week, and until then, keep your brain hungry for more.